Hey guys, what's up? What's happening? Back here for another episode of the Technical Area. Sorry we took a couple weeks off there. There were some technical difficulties a couple weeks back, and then last weekend I had some pretty big personal stuff going on. I'll say it, come out and say it right now. I got engaged this weekend, last week. So a lot of things going on there, and just did not have any time to put together any episodes last week. But we're back this week. Here we are discussing the last week in the Premier League and really getting into things, and then we'll discuss a little in depth some of the teams that played this weekend and whether they were who stood out and who underperformed, as we normally do. But we're finally back. We're back. We're discussing it, and that makes me extremely happy. And without further ado, let's get right into a review of the past week of Premier League, the week that was. In the Around the Premier League in 180 seconds. So let's get to that right now. We kicked the weekend off in Southampton, where Saints took on Leicester. The Foxes went up 1-0 early, but things would get much worse. A Ryan Bertrand red card opened the floodgates as Iosi Perez and Jamie Vardy both grabbed hat tricks on the way to a 9-0 win, tied for the biggest away win in Premier League history. Over to Manchester, where City hosted Villa. It was a scoreless first half, but that changed at the break. Sterling, Silva, and Gundogan score as Man City win 3-0. Next up, Watford, where the Hornets' troubles continued against Bournemouth. Luckily, the Cherries didn't have much going for them either. Neither team scored as this one ended in a scoreless draw. To Amex Stadium, where Brighton hosted Everton. The game was tied at 1 until the 74th minute when a Calvert-Lewin header made it 2-1 Toffees, but that didn't last long. A controversial penalty helped Brighton tie things up again, and then a Lucas Digne own goal won it for the Seagulls in extra time, 3-2. Over to London, where West Ham took on Sheffield United. Sheffield continued doing what they do best, playing solid defense and squeaking out results. A goal apiece had this one end in a 1-1 draw. From one London team to another, Chelsea traveled to Burnley this weekend. If you're American, you'll have loved this game. Christian Pulisic might have had his coming out party as Captain America had not one, not two, but 3 goals, a hat trick, as Chelsea cruised to a 4-2 victory. On to Sunday, where Newcastle hosted Wolves. Jamal Lascelles got the scoring started with the header in the 37th minute, but it was largely Wolves from there. Johnny bagged a goal for Wolves in the 73rd as this one ended 1-1. From Newcastle to London, where Arsenal took on Palace, things were looking great for the Gunners as Socrates and David Luiz both scored inside of 10 minutes, but that was where the fun ended. Palace came back to tie it with goals from Milivojevic and Ayew as Arsenal blow their 2-goal lead at home and settle for a 2-2 draw. The most intriguing game of the weekend, Liverpool hosting Tottenham. Spurs got off to a great start with a Kane goal in the first minute, but they couldn't get anything together after that. Henderson in the 52nd and a Salah penalty in the 75th gave Liverpool all they would need on the way to a 2-1 victory for the Reds. We end the weekend at Carrow Road, where Norwich took on Man United. This one was all United as McTominay got things started in the 21st, followed by goals from Rashford and Martial as the Red Devils cruised to a 3-1 victory. All right, there you have it, the Around the Premier League in 180 seconds, giving you a little breakdown of everything that happened in the past week. A lot of goals, a lot of excitement going on across the league, some good games, some games that had some late goals. Really good stuff all around as the Premier League shows us week in and week out. A lot of things to discuss. But first, we can't discuss them all, and we'll go into our normal thing here. The team of the week we'll talk about first. And I think the team of the week has to be Leicester this week because they did put 9 goals on Southampton. Granted, listen, I understand. 12th minute, Ryan Bertrand gets a red card, makes things a heck of a lot easier. But how many times do we see that result? There's red cards. There were 2 other games, I believe, 2 or 3 other games that had red cards in them, and not even close to the 9-0 result that Leicester got They really took advantage. They came in, they dominated Southampton. They got the one goal before the red card, and then just an onslaught of goals afterward. Tied for the biggest away win in Premier League history. Excuse me. Which is, something to behold in itself. So I think that they have to be the team of the week because they went out there, they worked hard, they got a goal in the 10th minute, and then after the red card, just absolutely dominated. Like many teams cannot do. A lot of teams can't dominate like that. And granted, the red cards in the other games came later in the game, but it's still a hard thing to do. We've seen it happen before. We've seen it in the World Cup where Colombia, I believe, got a red card in the 3rd minute, and they didn't end up losing by 9 goals. So, really good result there for Leicester, and they just keep rolling. They are unbelievable. Have yet to really show any signs of weakness or any terrible signs of weakness in this Premier League season. Really good job by Brendan Rodgers and them with the 9-0 win. Next up, guys, we have our underperforming team of the week, and I think this one was pretty easy. I'm going with Arsenal. Jumped out to a huge, a great lead in the first 10 minutes. Socrates and David Luiz both getting goals, as we mentioned, and then they fell apart. Fell apart at home, having a 2-0 lead against Crystal Palace. Granted, Crystal Palace has been playing pretty well, but they needed to carry that out. They haven't been having a great run of games. They haven't had a great performance. They haven't really been in form recently, and this was a chance for them to get this 2-0 lead and carry it through and give them some momentum moving forward, and they were unable to do that against a team that they should beat at home, especially with the talent that they have coming on the pitch week in and week out. I thought it was an average performance at best after the first 2 goals, and they really, really needed to come out with the result there. They didn't. They underperformed from the 10th minute on, in my personal opinion. They gave up the goal in the 32nd minute, and then, after the break, they gave up the goal in the 52nd. Not good from Arsenal. That's not a good sign moving forward, especially, again, with their recent form. They have a lot to work on, and if they want to be anywhere in the top 4 this year, they can't be losing games like that, and that's why they're my underperforming team of the week. And then finally, guys, we get into the game of the week. This one was a difficult one. There were some good games, but I think the easy answer here is Brighton taking on Everton. As much as this was a heartbreaker for me, I think this was the best game from a neutral perspective. It was 3-2, 1-1 all the way to the 74th minute. 3 goals scored in the final 16 minutes plus stoppage time of the game. The controversial penalty certainly added to the excitement of it. The own goal in the 94th minute. Calvert-Lewin put in the Toffees up 2-1 in the 74th. It all, I think, the end of the game provided the most excitement for a neutral fan, and that's why I have that as my game of the week. So there you have it, guys. The technical area review show for the past week in Premier League soccer. We're going to move forward now. We'll have the preview show coming out this Friday, as is typical. And we'll get into a little bit. We're going to have a little bit of a change of things, and that's just a fair warning for you guys. A little bit of a change in the format of that. I'm just going to pick the top 5 games or the top 5 most intriguing games each week just to make it a little bit shorter. I feel like they drag on a little bit, the previews, when we go in depth in every single game. And I feel like, we're going to go over top 5 games. We'll still give short little previews and a prediction for the other 5 games that weekend. And we'll try and mix it up. We're not going to show the same teams like Liverpool. We'll try and mix it up as much as possible, but going to shorten it a little bit, hopefully get it down to that 10 to 15 minute range so that we're not, taking up too much of your time and it's easier for you guys to watch this week in and week out. So look out for that on Friday. But for now, that's all we have for the Premier League review or the technical area of review show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.